thrilled, honored, love this man. Best at what he does. No two ways about it. He'll be there at the other end of the set. Wouldn't want to do this without him. He's Mike Mayock. How you doing, Mike?
Rich, I'm good. I just don't know how you handle a full day of radio with all the energy you have to bring and then go out and do what we do tonight. It's kind of amazing.
Well, I only know one speed, Mike, but you know that already from the combine. You know that.
Well,
I only know one
you're
speed.
A glass eater. You're a total glass eater.
And again, just so I remind me, that is a good thing, correct? To be a glass eater?
Yeah, it's a really good thing. It means you're a tough guy, man. You're hanging in there and you give everything you have.
All right. I mean, we've seen it all, Mike, from Tunsil to all the other craziness. What can you tell me about Josh Allen's status going into tonight from what you talk about with scouts and evaluators over the last couple of hours?
Rich, I think, again, is there a red flag that needs to be evaluated and checked out? Yes. Do I think many people are panicking over whether or not that will change his draft status? Probably not. I think it's just another part of what our society has become, and unfortunately at age 15, 16, 17, you put something out there that's kind of dumb and immature, it lives forever, and the teams will check it out, but I don't think it's going to change anything, Rich.
So you think that your mock draft is going to stay as put, that you think the Bills are going to come up and go get Josh Allen?
Well, I mean, I think he's in play from number one on. I really do. I mean, the whole quarterback thing, Rich, is, my mock draft doesn't mean anything at this point. And we had fun. We got a lot of information out there last night. I said what I felt. I felt like Cleveland needs to take Sam Darnold for the reasons I have, but I also think Josh Allen's been in play for Cleveland and John Dorsey since the Combine. So despite all the Baker Mayfield stuff, and, that's part of the intrigue. And I try not to listen to the noise over like the last week or two before the draft, and there is a ton of noise out there today.
So you would categorize the concept that Baker Mayfield is a 50-50 choice right now for John Dorsey in Cleveland, if not the choice. You'd categorize that as noise? You'd put that in the noise category?
I would tell you that John Dorsey knows who he's taken, and he's known for a while. And there's all kinds of stuff coming out of that building because John wants to hear if anybody wants to trade and where they want to trade. Baker Mayfield is just as legitimate a candidate for him as are the two I think that I've had in my head for them since the Combine, meaning Darnold and Allen. So it could go any direction at number one tonight, Rich. I mean, and John Dorsey doesn't talk to his wife, let alone me or you.
That's what he said, but I don't believe that. That's a red flag for me, Mike. I don't believe that. That's noise. Come on now. He doesn't tell his wife. That's ridiculous.
I'm telling you. I mean, he doesn't talk to anybody, and I've known him for a lot of years, and I've talked a lot of draft with him, but he doesn't divulge anything about his own situation in his building, and I respect that.
But I guess based on his history and who he has had at quarterback, and I know that Alex Smith is there in his time, but I thought he wants these big-armed drivers of the football, and that's, Mayfield's got a good arm, but that does not strike me as a John Dorsey pick. That would be, to me, a shocker tonight, but it would also, in my mind, be the most interesting first overall choice because that would, I think, reconfigure what both New York teams are thinking about coming in, Mike. Would you agree with that?
I would. I think if Mayfield went one, it triggers a whole different conversation at 2 and 3. And the Giants, again, and philosophically, you know where I stand with the Giants. It doesn't change who they are philosophically. Philosophically, if there's a quarterback they deem to be a franchise quarterback and Eli's heir for the next 10 years, they have to take him. That trumps everything else. And if Darnold's that guy and he doesn't go number one, then the Giants could be on the clock going, okay, we're not taking Barkley or Chubb. We're taking the quarterback. And then the Jets are sitting there at 3 going, uh-oh, there are 2 of them gone. Now all of a sudden, who is it? Is it Rosen? So if Mayfield goes 1, it would be the most intriguing scenario for our top 5 picks of any of the scenarios.
Mike Mayock here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then let's just say, I guess you would say Darnold Barkley going 1-2 would be the closest version to chalk that we would have for this year's draft. Why do you think the Jets, and again, this is your belief of what the Jets might do and your thoughts on the evaluation. If the Jets have a Mayfield, Josh Rosen decision to make, why do you think they go Baker Mayfield here?
I think Mayfield is the kind of kid, the kind of personality, whether you like him or not. I think he embraces the moment. He embraces the big stage. And there isn't a bigger stage than the pressure that's going to be on the next New York Jets quarterback. And I think this kid relishes that. And I think in the Jets building, they've got to recognize that over what I would call the uncertainty of Rosen. And I don't even worry about the kid. You know, I hear all the stuff about Rosen, the kid. When has intelligence been a bad thing in any endeavor? I don't get that. What I do get is I question his durability. And if I was there at number 3 and he had a couple of concussions last year and a shoulder the year before and an inability to protect himself in the pocket, I can't take him at 3.
And then, look, I mean, you have a history of of the first draft we ever covered together. The video always pops up this time of year where you look the same and I've got the flock of seagulls on top of my lid, where we're going down your first ever mock draft, and you nailed Aaron Rodgers to the Packers at 24. I see that video all the time. So you've got a history of having the knack here, and you believe that, again, if Darnold and Barkley and Mayfield go and Allen gets acquired via trade in the top 10, you think Rosen could drop all the way to 15 at the Cardinals? What you're thinking there?
I'm not sure he can get all the way there, but here's my thought process, is that if Denver takes a positional player and doesn't trade down, but takes a positional player at 5, which I had him doing in my mock, Quentin Nelson. But starting at 6 through 10, there are no primary quarterback needs. I know that Indianapolis would love to move back. They've got multiple holes and would love to acquire additional picks. So that's a logical place for Buffalo to come up or somebody to come up. But 6 through 10, there's no quarterback needs. Miami at 11, I think there's a conversation going on in that building. And I think the conversation is kind of like, hey, we need a new quarterback on one side of the building. And if I'm Adam Gase, I'm probably looking at them going, you know what? We're closer to that 10 and 16 that we were 2 years ago with Tannehill. And I believe I can win with Tannehill. I don't want a quarterback. Get me the best position player out there because we can go compete this year. So I think there's a conversation going on in that building. And if Rosen were to get past, or anybody were to get past 11, the next waypoint for the quarterback situation is 15 in Arizona. And Rosen is a gifted kid, man. He's got a big arm, and Steve Keim. I think Keim and Terry McDonough and that group would love Josh Allen. I think they'd make a move up to go get Josh Allen if they could. But I think Buffalo's got more draft pick that they can go up, and I don't think teams want to go all the way back to 15 if they could stop at 12.
And then you got Lamar Jackson to the Ravens. I know you have been raving about Lamar every time I've done any hits with you on NFL Network and your previous appearances here on this show, and then off the air too. I mean, you have been equally raving about Lamar Jackson. What makes you think the Ravens would go in this direction tonight?
I think a lot of it depends on what's on their board at 16. I think you're looking at Joe Flacco, who since the Super Bowl win got a big payday, and his production hasn't been commensurate with the payday. After this season, they could trade him or get out of his contract for very little compared to where they are today with that contract. And they've got a backup quarterback, Rich, by the name of Robert Griffin, who could also play the same offense as Lamar Jackson. I look at the New Orleans Saints at 27, and they've got Drew Brees, who's, 39 years old. Sean Payton is a creative dude, and they have a backup quarterback by the name of Taysom Hill, who was out of BYU, and he ran 4.4, and he's running down under kickoff.
Yeah, I saw that. That was great this past year.
And let me tell you something. If they could move up, or if Lamar Jackson fell to them at 27, and a guy like Sean Payton with his creativity. So what I'm trying to do is connect dots. And because Baltimore has RG3 and because they have Taysom Hill, what defensive coordinators say all the time is, A, I don't want to face any of those kind of guys. And B, the downside to all that is they're going to get hurt sooner or later, so you better have two of them. And I think Baltimore and New Orleans both have two of them.
Do you have any dots you can connect the Patriots to him? What do you think of that idea, Lamar and the Patriots?
I don't have the dots, but they have the aging quarterback, obviously, and I think Bill Belichick is one of the most outside-the-box thinkers in the history of the NFL. So he's got 2 picks in the first round and 5 in the first 100, and I have absolutely no idea what direction he's going to go. All I would tell you is that it's pretty obvious looking at his roster. He's got 2 donuts at left tackle and at backup quarterback / heir apparent. So I'm fascinated to find out what direction Bill Belichick's going to go.
Mike, I love doing this event with you, man. The neat thing is we've basically seen the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft play out just out of order at the Combine. I love hanging with you there. I can't even imagine doing this event without you. It is a personal and professional thrill, and I just have to ask, I heard you cough in the middle of this. You're feeling all right, right? You're good? We're good? We're good?
So far, so good, my brother.
Okay, man. So then hang up. Don't talk to anybody. Have some tea with lemon or whatever, and I'll see you in a few hours.
Yeah, I look forward to it, Rich. Thanks so much, man.
You're the best, brother. You're the best. That's Mike Mayock, the best in the business.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.